Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Welcome back into the Dragon's Den. My name's Digital Dragon, and I am a 3D printing variety streamer here on Twitch. It means we do everything from machine unboxings like our X1 carbons and the Centauri carbons below, to full-up printer builds like the Vorons, the Ender 3NG that we're working on today, beta testing like we did on our box turtles and several hot ends that we've tested throughout the years. So yeah, welcome in. You don't plan on going looking at Amazon for deals today? You have enough issues? I was looking. I have a couple of things in my cart. We'll see, maybe. One of the things I have in my cart is another one of these, but it's a bigger one. It's like 4 feet wide, with different size bends. But yeah, I am a glutton for punishment. I do retail therapy, so I don't really need much of an excuse. So the fact that Polymaker is doing restock sales, Amazon days are going on, and West 3D's 4th birthday. Yeah, didn't go and buy some West 3D stuff. Didn't go and buy another tube compact for no reason whatsoever. You do have Amazon affiliate account. I have one of those too. I have an affiliate account with Amazon. That was one of the first affiliate accounts I had. Of course, it was nice doing the West 3D birthday and getting that discount, then adding on my affiliate code discount, and then, but I digress. Hope everyone's doing well today. Let me go ahead. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, and oh, by the way, we did finish we did the lighting upgrade on the Centauri carbon. My first Centauri carbon had the really anemic, doorbell light right underneath the camera that lit up nothing. And I reached out to Elegoo support, talked to them, told them I had one of the original batch 3 models with the single anemic light, and that I'd be interested in getting the lighting upgrade for it if they had it available. And they asked me my serial number, this, that, and everything else. Here you go. And they sent it to me. So we sat down and pulled that machine up here onto the bench and did that yesterday, kind of an impromptu stream, basically to get a box from just laying around. I've got boxes everywhere. I need to take a picture of all the boxes of project stuff that's sitting down in the dining room or in the living room behind the couch. Hey, Eagle of Dragon, how are you doing today? Work was good. Feeling good. Mr. Dragon's doing good. And so I'm just trying to work through these things as they come in so I don't bury myself and can't get to anything anymore. But I did allude that I'm working on a project in that stream, and that project is by Alex Geek's Workshop. And to give you an idea, this is one of the parts. This is actually 6 printed pieces. So each half of this was done on a separate print, right? So we did one half. I put that together while the other half was printing. So here's one piece of that. And I can't remember if this is, I think this is the inner skin, and then, or one side of it. I think this will be the inner side, or we'll say the palm side. And this will be the outer side of a power fist. So Yeah, we're basically going to be something along the lines of this. The other half of this is printing right now. So yeah, we're building a power fist. We're going to do like a whole setup. We've got the chainsword from Galactic Armory that I'm not supposed to finish. I'm supposed to destroy my prints. I've got one from Alex Geek's workshop as well. We've got the power fist, the power claw, which is like a 3-finger claw type setup. And then we've got the Doom Shield that we'll be printing. I've got filament, might as well print stuff. I've got printers, might as well print stuff. And speaking of printing stuff, we also have, let me get this, the printer that we are working on. So I did a little bit off stream, right? And I talked about this earlier. We did do a little bit off of the stream. And I've got the entire base assembled on this now. These two pieces, the two corner brackets here, need to be reprinted. And what I did was, even though I had done a flow rate test on the Centauri carbons, I did put these over on, or I did move the filament over onto the Bamboo X1C, where I could run the new Bamboo Studio flow rate. And interestingly enough, the Burnt Titanium Dark Magic, whatever this color is by Epax now, is like 0.7362 flow rate. Where the orange pieces, right, still Epax, they're all ASA. The Epax orange ASA is like a 1.03 flow rate. So basically this is under extruding a little and this is way over extruding. So whatever they've added to that ABS to make the that shiny shimmer, and now I've got to look. What are they calling this? No, that's the Burnt Titanium, which is the old name. It has been renamed. So now I got to look down here, the spool that's still down here. It is Deep Space. There we go. Deep Space, not Dark Magic, Deep Space. Dark Magic is the actual cookie CAD name. So whatever colorant is added to get this kind of shimmery sparkle and stuff, the flow rate's kind of crazy. Hey Daisy, how's it going? Long time no see. So basically this is where we're at. We've got the base frame and we're doing the ultimate frame. So there's 3 different frame options. There's the basic standard version, which has printed rear uprights, and then the front uprights are just your 12 millimeter linear rods. Then there's the 2040 upgrade, which puts 2040 in the back and still uses just the linear rods in the front. And then there's the ultimate, which is 2040 in the rear and the front. And that's what we're doing with this. If you buy the Fabreeko kit, you will get these uprights to be able to do the ultimate frame. If you're going to be enclosing it, the ultimate frame, I think, is going to be the best option to do that. Working on some new maker chips with one of those fancy pattern plates. Gotcha. Yeah, those fancy pattern plates work out surprisingly well at just adding like another level to your maker chips. Yeah, this is a bad print because I had an initial extrusion issue on the red, but you can see how that is actually a pattern plate on there that's just kind of a amorphous nebula type pattern. And I don't know, it just adds a little something extra. So pretty neat. Hey, Matt Al, how's it going? Welcome in. We're just kind of slowly talking about where we're at currently. We've got the bottom frame done. We're going to be working on page 45 in our manual now. And 45 in our manual is the 3Z axis rods. So this is basically saying we're using 3 lead screws versus just 2 in the front and just having a 12 millimeter rod in the back. So, so we will be doing the single stepper version. And really the only difference here is the routing of a belt, whether the belt's going around the large pulley on the inside of here to a motor, or if you're going around that way. Hey, Liz, how's it going? Welcome in. Welcome in. So we are going to be doing triple lead screw, single Z motor. Okay. And I've decided to use a Big Tree Tech Octopus for the main board. So down the road, if I decide to swap this over from the single belt, single drive to triple lead screw, triple Z motor, I don't have to go and swap all the electronics and redo a bunch of wiring and stuff. So what we're going to need here is some M3 heat set inserts, some ball bearings. Oh, look. Let me go back to that one instead of that one. There we go. We've already got all of our heat sets inserted. The ones over here that are going to have set screws that go into the 12 millimeter rod. We've already got the 608 bearings pressed in. So we're good to go there. We have the same house. I love that thing. Hate all of my other mics now, or mice now. We have the same mouse. Oh, are you talking about my MX series mouse? I have the MX series mouse and the K350 Logitech keyboard. I like it because it's got the wrist rest built in. It's kind of got that wave contour to it. It's pretty ergonomic for me. And it was to the point where I actually had work buy me one for the office. So now I have 2 because we're working from home. So all of our heat sets are already entered. And where did that goes on? Okay, there we go. Don't ask me what I was doing. Gotcha. There we go. Turned the wrong thing off. So we got our heat sets already installed. We got our 608 bearings pressed in already. And now this is basically what we're going to do. We're going to build our bearing stack and get that installed around the top, around our, the words on stream get hard sometimes. Our lead screw with its pulley, spacer, whole 9 yard, basically this stack. And when we put all this together, we have to make sure that we do it with the belt captured in this whole process. So that's going to be fun. To make life a little bit easier to get started, I'm going to go ahead and put in the M3x5 set screws in the side here and just get those started. That is provided I can find them. There we go. grub screws. And these are fairly long grub screws. They're going to most likely take, look at them, could take a 2mm driver. Nope. 1.5. That would be the one. Because these are set screws, we are going to put a little bit of our Loctite on them. Not a lot, just a little. We are going through a threaded insert into our printed part. So once again, I don't want to put a lot on there. I just wiped a little bit off. And we're basically just getting these started. We'll use these later on to lock in the 12mm vertical rod. All righty. So we got those in. I think how the best way to do this. I think what I'm going to do is start with the top piece. We're going to put in our M5 by 35 socket head screw. We're going to need also some M3 by 35 socket head screws, so we'll get those out. We need 3 of these. Three M3s, an M5 by 35. And then we'll need our washers and bearing. Two washers and 2 F695 bearings. And the F695 bearings are still down in here, I think. Yes. So projects, any more word on your Ender 3NG frame? Okay, so our screws, we're going to go into the top piece, which is this piece. We're going to go ahead and get our screws. Yeah, I think I'm just going to start with the M5. We'll leave the M3s out for now. Put an M5 in. Okay. And this is going to need to be reamed out because we obviously have a little bit of oversize to this. Oh, hey, Timur, thank you for the resubscribe for 28 months in a row. I appreciate that, friend. So this is definitely one of the parts that was over extruded that I did not reprint. I did reprint all of the top parts. I just did not reprint the bottom parts because I already had heat sets in them. Basically just turn that up down to the heat set. I'll do that with the M3 holes as well. basically just making sure that I'm not threading through the part. I'm actually just getting my screws down into the part, into the heated or the threaded inserts, so I'm not having to fight things as much. Note that I did everything but the actual M5 screws that go into, or those are M4 that will mount it in the part. So let's grab the M4 as well. We'll do the mounting holes. I should not necessarily have to do this on any of the other parts. This is just one of the older parts that it just might have a little bit of over extrusion still. Alrighty. So once again, going from the top, we're going to put our M5 in first. Hold that in place, and we're going to build a bearing stack. So that bearing stack is a washer, flange side to the washer, flange slide away. Apparently easier said than done. And the other washer. That's going to make the pulley that we're going to use for the belt guide. Next, let me start getting some things here. I'm just going to kind of set that down, set my belt in and around, and like that. And then throw things around. I was going to do it the other way, and I just did that to myself. Wow. Let's try that again with a little less flair for the dramatic of throwing things around. And we'll do this a little bit easier way. Let's get that there. We'll put this in from the top. Come on. Nope. You there. You there. That one on that side. That one on that side. Goes there. So there we go. I decided to try and make it a lot harder than it really needed to be, apparently. No, 4mm for that. Every once in a while, you just got to make it harder than it needs to be. Okay, we're not trying to completely squish it. We need to make sure our bearing still rotates freely. We'll go ahead and do our 3 other screws to bring our clamshell together here. So how's everybody doing tonight? Everybody having fun? Having a good week? Staying out of trouble? Staying out of jail, as Maker Mind Nexus would say? All right, for whatever reason, these do not feel like they are getting all the way down in there. Hmm. Come on now. That one finally started grasping. This front one, still not wanting to grasp. Keeping busy? That's good. Grilling some burgers and working. You're working on a Nerf Blaster video. I mean, I'm kind of shocked. I'm not really. I know you do the Nerf Blaster videos, so that's kind of cool. All right, for whatever reason, there seems to be a slight alignment issue, and this one is not sitting straight. I'm not sure. I did manage to get everything else to start threading. Oh, oh, here we go. Got that one to finally pick up a thread. Yay! All right. There we go. The belt goes there. This belt goes there. All right. Now we're going to need 4 M4 by 8s. And my initial plan is just to kind of get these not necessarily lined up per se, but just get all 4 started and aligned with the part. Then we can slide it sideways to line it up with our mark. So these two should basically be right over each other. One there, one there. There. No, just go about there. Okay. And 4 should use the 3. But like I said, my goal here is to just get all 4 screws started. If I can get that done, then we can work on getting it aligned with the mark. So all those are done. Now, if you remember, we made a mark on our rear top of this extrusion in the middle, and we're actually pretty darn close. I need to go scooch just an ever slight bit. What we're doing is we're aligning apparently wants me to do the other belt tensioner as well. We'll do that in a half second. Sure, align everything up, get everything done. Here we go. We're aligning this mark in the print with the mark that we made on the rear extrusion. And when we have that, that is going to be the place where we can tighten this down. We now have that centered basically in the back piece. We'll need to scroll back up a little bit. We've already got our Z motor ready to go. We need to get our pulley. Now, this is the original part. I had a heat set insert in here, and we might wind up being too tight in this gap due to that over extrusion. If so, I did print a new one where the gap is a little bit more open. So if we need to, we'll switch over to this, and I'll just have to recover this a little bit later. This is going to go together with a M5 by 35. We're going to need a couple of the washers, a couple of our flange bearings, 2 washers, 2 flange bearings, hey, Petty Ruxpin, how are you doing? Hoping you're doing well. We're coming in from the top piece. I'd already reamed that out, so I'm just going to get my screw started on there. We'll take one of our washers, put it over the screw, flange bearing, other flange bearing, and then we'll have another washer that we need to get kind of squished in there, and this is where it might get a little more difficult. All right, we're close, we're close, we're close. Trying to push that washer back in there some more, get it lined up. And there we go. Now what did I just do? I just got this all assembled without putting the belt through it. So we get to take it all apart again, and then we'll redo it around the belt this next time. Because I'm a ding-a-ling. Yes, I'm a ding-a-ling. And I kind of feel like, I mean, it's doable, but that is really, really tight. I really think I might want to swap it over. Let me go ahead and, do I have the M5 heat press out? What do I have out here? M3. All right, let me do an M5 heat press real fast, and we'll switch over and use the other printed part, which might give me a little bit more playroom here. These. I've got, like I said, I got a whole set of parts that we can be working on tonight, so we should not be delayed due to parts. It's more, do I get myself delayed trying to work around things? Okay. And we've got heat set inserts in just about everything, so we shouldn't need to swap any heat set inserts out after this. All right, heats up. We're going to grab some coffee. This is some Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Mrs. Dragon did stop and get me some Dunkin' Donuts after she did her physical therapy today, so. All right, that's good. Move that out of the way. We'll burn ourselves about 5 times trying to work on this now, but that's okay. So things I do for you. And I just realized this is going to go on the, because this goes over here, so we're putting together a flanged bearing stack on the tooth side of a belt. Don't necessarily like that. I'd prefer to be doing it on the smooth side of the belt, but well, what they called for, and we don't really have, there's no tooth idler to swap it for. So we'll just have to build this stack around this belt using a standard flange bearing stack. Maybe. Get on the screw. There we go. Belt, you go there. Sorry, this isn't as easy for you guys to see. All right. Not that. We're going to pull this back. We're going to put this in there, which should go in a bit easier, which it does. There we go. And we can align that belt here in just a second. that was a great decision to swap that stuff out. We're going to need 2 more M4 screws. These are going to be the M4 by 8s and some of our M4 Rollin T-nuts. Uh-oh. Thanks for alert, Timor. Got to go do the honeydew list. I understand that. I understand that. Go ahead and get our peanuts in here. Does it tell us a specific distance, or is it just make it happen? We got that in place. Our Z is all ready to go. We'll work that one when we get asked to put it in there. Let's move these out of the way. We got this in the appropriate spot. Nothing really, just more on this side towards the back than where I just put those things at. So that'll be great. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. You go there. Looks like that'll be about the right spot. Move it down. It's going to go somewhere back here. We're eyeballing. Because like I said, it doesn't give us an actual, well, maybe. Hold on. No, it's going to be the Z motor. We make sure your Z motor belt is roughly as pictured. Move the stepper assembly 2 to 3 centimeters from the right extrusion and only move the belt idler to provide tension. Okay, so there we go. Do not tighten this down yet. Read the instructions. We'll just scoot that back over there. Leave some belt gap. We need to get some M4 set up here. And this is got to go on the top of the thing so it lines up. Those two are there. Back to our M4 by 8s. Okay. Now I am going to try and get this started before I loop the belt around. Okay, here we go. So we're going to get our belt kind of aligned, loop it around there. And we want to make sure that the alignment is such that it's clearing our printed part here. And we want to be 2 to 3 centimeters away from the edge there. So we'll need our measuring device. We need to go over quite a bit more. At this point, we want to make sure that our belt is up on the... So it says 2 to 3, so we're going to call our belt in the middle and do 25 millimeters. Alrighty. And now, once again, we want to make sure that all of our belts are up on the pulley and not riding any of the flange edges. That's there, that's there. That one's there, that one's there. We'll pull this tight. Making sure and aligning the belt everywhere. Looks like our pulley can come down a little bit. We'll fix that in a minute. I'm going to pull this over to give us some tension on everything. Don't want a huge amount, but I should be able to now twist any one of these and they'll all move at the same time, which they are. Okay. Now, once again, we want to drop this pulley down ever so slightly, so we need to get access to our set screws. Into the set screw, bring the pulley down just ever so slightly. Get those set screws retightened. Everything's moving nicely. Nothing's rubbing. I think we're good. I think we're good. What do y'all think? Once again, we set this at the 25 millimeter mark to the edge here. So this gap right here is 25 millimeters. It says 2 to 3 centimeters. And then we move this just to tighten it. We're fairly tight. I mean, fairly tight. I'm not seeing any slipping or any movement. So we should be good to go. All right, next up, it wants us to put in the 12 millimeter rods. So we've got three 12 millimeter rods. The two long ones are going to go in the front, and then the shorter one will go in the back. And these need to go all the way through. And on the sides, you see, I'll turn it this way. You remember, on our sides, we've got these pieces right here. These are printed clamps. They're going to clamp on this rod. And what we're going to do is push that rod until it's right at the base of the printed part. Right? We want it right at the base of the printed part. And then we'll go ahead and tighten these screws in. And that's now clamping this rod in place. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. We'll drop that rod, just wiggle it and move it all the way down until it's flush with the bottom. And then we'll tighten the M3 screws on that clamp to clamp that in place. Here we go. And on our last rod, we're going to insert it back here. We're going to bring it flush with the bottom of the printed part. And then we've got our two set screws that we have to get from the side here. And we're going to run the set screws into the rod, and that's going to hold it in place at that height. And we use the 1.5 millimeter driver on these set screws. And these are fairly tiny set screws, so just be careful when you're tightening them that you don't damage the heads or strip them out. They're there just to hold it in place, not to like secure weight everything. Now, it does show us linear rod should be flat against the bottom surfaces of the parts that are inserted to, but due to tolerance and length, this will be adjusted later. For now, install them flat to the bottom and tighten slightly. I ugga-dugged, why not? 2Z-rod version. It shows the LMU 12UU bearings there in the picture. It doesn't say anything about doing that. Now it starts talking about the LM8 LUU. Did you clean and lubricate your bearings? Yes, we did. We did that off stream. We're going to start building our gantry next. So it's going to be important to have that gantry built so that when we go and build the top, which we'll square up on the bench, then we'll add it to the top here. And when we do that, we're going to have to start adding our rods and gantry. So we're going to take this for now and move it off the bench. Actually, before we do that, Let's go ahead and take a picture for the YouTubes and for the X's and the Instas and all the things. Show some progress here. All right. Now we can take this and set it off to the side. And we're going to be needing our gantry parts. So this is our tool head mount. We'll have one of these on each side. Looking at it, that'll go there, which means this one goes there, I believe. Okay. Now the XY gantry blocks, we're going to start off. I've added all the heat press inserts, so we're just going to need to start off with some screws. In this case, we'll be using some M3x25, one each from the top and the bottom for each side. So we'll grab 4 of these out. 2 on that side, 2 over here. We'll of course need some of our thingamabobbers. 2, 4, 6, 8. And thingamabobbers in this case were washers. And then we're also going to need 8 of our LM8 UU, or excuse me, not LM8 UUs. Wow. 8 of our F695 2RS ball bearings. So here we go. And on each of our sides, we're going to be able to come from the top on one and the bottom of the other. So we're just going to start from the top. And we're going to build that stack as we go. So we're going to need a washer, flange bearing against the washer. Wow, come on. Okay. That's not working with me. Let's go on this side. There we go. Now, precision fit. Let's read some of the notes here. Symmetry, left and right sides are basically symmetrical. Therefore, they're only showing the one side. So we just got that piece. Now we need to do the other piece. I'm going to flip it over where I can use gravity to my advantage a little bit more. That, and apparently I've got better visibility and control this way. There we go. The hole for the LM8 UU is designed for a press fit. With proper calibration, the bearing is easy to install without excessive force and will stay in place. If the fit is too tight, increase the hole clearance with the proper tool. If it's too loose, rough up the whole surface or use a shimmer tape. Heat set insert install, I already did that. Which one of those came out? Luckily it went back in without a problem. Let's actually screw that in. Again, I'm not putting these in tight because we're going to have to put our 8mm rods in there eventually. because these not only are holding our bearing stacks in, but it's also going to be compressing on the 8mm rods there. So one side done. Now we need to work on the other side. We're just going to rinse and repeat. Get the screw started, get our washer on there. Flange against the washer. Flange away. And last but not least, the other washer. Push it through. Get it started so it doesn't fall out. Flip it over, rinse and repeat. Hey Echo Pixel Pulse, how's it going? Hope you're doing well. We're working on our Ender 3 NG build. We've got the base completed. Not sure if you saw that before we took it off the table. And now we're starting to work on the gantry. This is the XY joiners here that we're putting the bearing stacks together on. Come on, darn you. Washer is not where I need it. All right, there we go. All right, so both of these sides are done now. We need our LM8 UUs, okay? Now there's a specific way that these go in. Your bearings can either be in kind of like a plus design or an X. You want them in an X design when they go in here, because that means you'll be using all 4 of the bearings instead of just basically 3. So get it partially pushed in, make sure you've got that X pattern where your ball bearings are in an X shape versus straight up and down, side to side, and then push it home. And it looks like it's going to go full flush. So full flush front and back. You can see that those bearings are off to the sides at the top and not directly vertical. Same thing over here. Making sure we understand where's the front, where's the back. We're going to make sure that these are also, there's a lot of excess grease in that one. Haha, that's going to be fun. Like I said, it should just be a nice press fit, front to back. So we've got those 2 in. That's going to be, I don't know, we'll look and see. We've got our heat presses in here. We're going to do the same thing when we put in the other 2 LM8 UU bearings. We want to make sure that we're crisscrossing in that pattern. A lot of extra grease in a couple of these. We're going to be squirting grease everywhere when we go to put this in. Oh, there All right, that lower one is a little bit looser than everything else. All right, so we got all of our heat sets in before. We got our LM8 LUU bearings, LM, linear motion, 8 millimeter. L is long. UU, I cannot remember. I think that's the something to do with the bearing track and the ends. Okay, now we're going to place our 8 millimeter rods, 2 of them. Luckily, our 8 millimeter rods are all the same length, 350 millimeters. So we're just going to need 2 of these. And I'm going to start by getting them started on the end here. And I just like have them all the way through, flat to the side. I don't know how, actually, before I go putting that on, since these slide pretty easily, yeah, the fully enclosed end is going to be, I guess, towards the back on this, is how that looks. What I'm going to do is try and put this end in the same distance. And then take my measurement and see where we're at. What we're looking for is 280 millimeters. And that right there is about 277. So we just basically need to pull them apart 3 millimeters from being fully in. So that just gives me a good idea where we're at. Our, whatchamacallit, the top screws here that are coming out the back are towards where that nub is. Get these ready and lined up. Maybe. There we go. We're going to slide this in. And when we do, it's probably going to push a whole bunch of stuff out. So there's plenty of extra grease there. I don't want to waste that. So let me grab a paper towel here. Because now I've got garbage all over my hands. Where am I going to put that? Where am I going to put that? Do I have a spare syringe? I do not. And I do not want to mix Super Lube and EP2. Well, when you gotta, you gotta. So we're going to reuse this. So these are some HDMI ribbon cables. And this is a USB-C to USB-A ribbon cable that I was using for one of my builds. So we'll put those together, and I'm going to use this. We're just going to, I don't know, take a little bit of that excess. And we'll save that for a later lube job. because we might as well. Okay. And like I said, some of these are going to have a bunch of it in there as well. So, and it's not going to do us any good to leave it there. So, we'll put that in. Oh, that rod's now greasy all to get out. Oh, get in there. Oh. Look. Okay. So our rods are pretty much at the end. I'm going to push them in a little bit, top to bottom. We're going to check our measurement. We're looking for 280. And that is about as close to 280 as I'm going to get. So what I'm going to do is tighten this lower rod. Which will clamp around the rod. Turn this 180. And we'll check this measurement. Again, we're at 280. I'll move it to one side, tighten this side, move it to the other side, make sure that we're nice and straight, tighten this side down. And I'm moving this back and forth. And what you'll notice is all this excess grease that's coming out onto the rod. We just wipe it off. If we wanted to, we can try and slather it up and put it in there. I'm just going to wipe it off. Like I said, it's not going to do anything other than attract filament dust and other debris to the rod that will potentially make it into the motion system, which we do not need. So there we go. Okay. What's next? Top frame. Okay. Our stepper motor mount, or the left motor mount. Let's get this stuff put away. We'll definitely be adding to this later on. This one we're going to recover the heat set out of, so we'll throw that in our heat set recovery box so we can spend a stream and just pull heat sets out. Let's see what part we're looking for. We need the orange small piece. We need the orange piece that's got this U shape and this other little gap in it. And yeah, that one's going to go there. We need the one. Screw hole there, heat press, M5, 3333. I believe it's that one. All right, so there's those parts. That part's going to go with that one. And that part will go there as well. Okay. So these are the parts we've got. We've got the heat sets installed. We're going to start with this part. We're going to need an M535 and an M520. M5 35, M5 20, and that's an M5 20 hex, not an M5 20 button. We're going to need some more of them washers. So I'm just going to set some of those out over here. We're going to need some of these. Get a few of those out there as well. Okay. So taking this piece, we're going to drop our M5 by 35 in that hole, and the M5 by 20 goes down in that hole there. It's the only other M5 hole we got. We'll drop that down. We'll drop that. There we go. That's there and that's there. Now we're going to need to build some bearing stacks. So I'm going to just flip this over. We're going to have two sets of bearing stacks. So washer, washer, bearing stack, bearing stack, and another washer. Okay. Then this piece is going to go on, line up in the appropriate spot. You'll notice this hole here, there's no heat set in. This hole over here, there is. So we're going to go on like that. This one we're going to kind of flip over, screw that down. Make those parts one. Make sure you hold this one so it doesn't go anywhere on us. And we're going to have another bearing stack here. So washer, flange down, flange up, washer. And then we're going to have this piece. You'll see there's that little cutout there is going to line up with this gap. And we've got a heat press in there that's going to line up with that screw. This is where we'll kind of squish it together, hold it in place, and get this screw started. Not going to do that one all the way just yet because there's going to be a rod going through there. So if I squish that down, it might mess up with our ability to push the rod all the way in. We are going to have a couple of M3 by 35s that come down on either side of that rod as well. And once again, I'm not going to tighten those all the way yet because there's going to have to be a rod there. So grab a couple of these. Pop those through. We'll get those started. Okay, still a little bit of movement there, so we're good. We'll be able to get our rod in. And there is that one. Double bearing stack here. One bearing stack in the back there. And this will be the left mount. And then it wants us to get ready to mount that. That's going to be the interesting part, is getting all this stuff mounted. Yay fun. M4 by 8, M4 T-nuts. Biggest thing we need to remember there. Now we're going to work on the right motor. So we'll grab the other parts here. We've already got our heat press inserts in, or heat set inserts in. And we're going to start at the top with an M3 by 35, which is our last M3 by 35. Hey, Maker Viking, how's it going? We're going to need some of our M3 by 35s as well. Hope you're doing good, Maker Viking. You know, I never did hear about Fenrir. Did Fenrir make it into production yet? So on this piece here, we're going to put our M5 and then our two M3 by 35s. Like so. We're going to need a bearing stack on the M5. So washer, bottom, top, washer. And this goes on to our part here. And it's going to go over on this side. And these are all going to be through screws. So just line that up and push all them screws through, like so. And then we're going to need to hold all those in place again as we build another stack. We need an M5 by 20 because we're going to need to do two stacks there. M5 by 20 socket head. And that's going to go only in one place, which is going to be right down there, which is great because it's way down in there. You see. There we go. It's going to be fun. Use all the fingers. So we're going to build bearing stacks on both of the M5s. So we'll need washer, flange, flange out, washer, washer, flange in, flange out, washer, and printed part lining up the kind of cutouts. And we've got heat presses and all of the screw holes. So I'm going to try and line up those threes. And then everything else should line up. We'll be able to push it down like that. That started. You're working a lot on Tinker Atlas. Well, Fenrir isn't finished yet, but there's some progress on it. Awesome. So once again, the M3s we're not tightening down all the way because that's what's going to give us our gap for the rods. And we're not adding any of the M4 mounting hardware just yet because, well, that's going to be fun when we go to build the frame out. Hammerhead nuts would be great. I should have ordered a bunch of them. How am I doing? I'm doing great. We're having fun doing the build here. It's been a pretty fun time. Okay, now we're going to have our front idler pieces. I'm pretty sure they go like that. I've got the heat set inserts in. I did all that off stream just because it's easier, especially when you're having to do M3 and M5s, because you have to let it cool down, swap the tips and everything. All right, welcome everybody back from the commercial break. Let me grab a couple things here. So again, we're going to need these M5 spacer pieces here, or M5, these 5mm spacer pieces for the top of our uprights here in a little bit. So we got that there. Let me at least go ahead and pull these off so that I can get the next plate going on these. And of course, I'm going to have to use the scraper. Sorry, I'm just trying to keep some prints going because, you know, when you got multi-hour prints, you don't really want to have downtime on the printer. Okay. So the prints that I just took off was the other half of the, I guess, the top forearm piece of the Power Fist. So back from the Honeydew project, all you can say, 85 years old, should not change light bulbs on a 15-foot tall ceiling. No. You should have somebody come over and do that for you. Hey, Wick Allen, how's it going? Howdy, howdy, howdy. We've been working on our gantry, so we've got the X gantry started. We got our Y joiners done in. We've got our super lubed bearings, and you're going to say, well, how lubed? Well, that's how much we initially pushed out just putting the rods in for the X. When I go to do the Ys, it's going to probably be just about as much. So we're packed. We were packed. We had plenty of lubrication there. Home from work, long one today. How's building? Building's going pretty good. We've got this put together. We've got our rear motor mounts for the B and A motor assembled. We're going to be working on our idlers next. Like I said, the heat sets were already installed. Now what we need to do is what? Read the page left to right. So we'll do the left side first. We're going to need M5 by 25s. Whatever we do on one side, we're going to do on the other. So we'll just go ahead and get both of those out now. We'll need some more of these. 1, 2, 3, 4 sets. So we'll need about 8 of these. We've got the M3 by 25s. We'll need the M3 by 20 hexes as well. All right. So on our, what are you showing me? You're showing me this one first. Okay, so based on this one, higher up on our gap, here, let me pull you guys in a little bit closer here. AI, go away. Let me pull y'all in a little bit closer. All right, so this part, we've got the gap is the higher edge, 2 larger, 1 smaller hole. And what we're going to be doing is coming in from this hole with the M5 by 25, so the longer one, not that hole, that hole. We're going to be doing this inner bearing here. Sweet. And this is going to be a screwed into plastic, so we're basically going to screw through the plastic as we build this. And we're going to screw into plastic at the top. So I'm just going to screw this through a little bit, give us a gap. And I think you guys know the drill by now. We've got a washer, flange side down. Run our screw through a little bit more until it's just peeking up. Flange side up. Run that through a little bit more. And then we'll need our other, whatchamacallit, washer. And of course, I ran that just a tad bit too far, I think. Oh, crikey, come on. Oof, pretty tight. I think I might have needed to do a little bit of filing on that because I think there's some smuts in the print. Oof, okay. I think we got it. And we did. So we're just going to run this up in here until we feel it kind of change, right? So fingers, not death grip, fingers. Feel it change, maybe an eighth more. Make sure your bearing still rotates, and you're good. Once again, we're screwing into plastic, so no need to go all kinds of crazy. Okay, on our idler bearing here, we need to use our M5 by 20 coming from the top, and that's going to go in a lot easier. So let's use that gravity to our advantage. We'll put in a washer. No, the washer actually goes in and stays in. Seriously, the washer goes in and stays in. What the heck? Thank you for that. Yeah, these came out pretty good. There we go. Washer on. Bearing. How many times am I going to drop that through? There. Bearing one end. Other half of the bearing end. Yay, yay. Now we get to get our last washer in. This is not tight. This is me just not being able to get my fingernail in the gap to push the washer in. Seriously. I think that's it. Yes. And once again, we've got a heat set insert there. So this is just going to go down until it's tight. Call it done. Make sure your bearing stack's moving nicely. And you're good. And then we'll worry about the rest in a minute. I'm just going to set that there. We're going to come over and do this side. So from this side, we're going to do the M5 from this direction. And once again, it's going to be going into a printed part, and I will fight with it if I have to. Just going to get the screw exposed a bit so I can come in here and put in a washer. We're going to play this game again. Washer. One bearing. Screw it in a little bit more until it's just barely exposed. Other bearing. There we go. And let me go ahead and get that other washer started. This is not made for people with fat fingers. I may actually have to use my tweezers to get these in there. No. Yeah, the issue is I couldn't even get them started. Oh, crap. I think, yep, that just pushed all the way through too far. And there's no easy way to get that back out, is there? That is not going to self-align. You suck. Come on, darn you. There we go. Yeah, it is a really tight fit here, and I um pushed the top washer too far in. It was like almost there. I tried to quote unquote make it perfect, and then I pushed it too far. So when you do that, you can't really easily pull it back out because, as you can tell, this is an extremely tight tolerance fit on these. So we'll go and try and frustrate ourselves for a second time. All right, so there we go. We got that in there. There's the bearing stack. We're going to, once again, fingertips only until we feel it tight. And then we just go about 1/8 of a turn more. Make sure that we're still spinning because we're going into plastic there. So we don't want to ugga-dugga it down. Now on this side, it's going to be a little bit easier to access and just as much fun to try and get everything lined up. All right. There's the washer bearing one, bearing two, Lined up. There we go. So 2 bearings and last washer on top. Come on, darn you. Okay. And then once again, just fingers, and you're going until you feel it bottom out, and then you're done. And there we go. So it's going to be the 2 idlers. Okay. Now we need an M3 by 16, and this is what's going to hold the idler bearing into the stack. That does say M3 by 16, right? Because I know have M3 by 16 in the kit. Let's see what we got here. M3 16 socket head. No silver ones there. M3 by 16. Here we go. Got some silver ones there. These are just going to go through the front hole here and feed into the M3 whatchamacallit that we put there. And that is a tight fit. We really don't want that to be a tight fit. So we're going to grab the M3 reamer, hook that up. And because we got that bearing there, we don't want to go deep. We just want to go right through that hole. All we're trying to do is to make sure that this has the ability to go in real nice and easy, because this is what's going to pull the tension on the idler forward. So, and all we're going to do is just 1, 2, and we'll leave it like that for now, because that's going to allow us the tension. Actually, I'll hold this all the way forward and kind of bring it flush with the front until I feel it move. That's where we want that. Okay. Same thing with this one. We're just going to clear out that hole. Perfect. Put that idler in there. Just bring it flush. All righty. You'll see a lot of M4s on there with some hammerhead T-nuts. We don't have hammerheads. The kit came with just the rolling T-nuts, so we can't use the hammerheads because I don't have any. Hey, 3D Medic Vince, how's it going? So for now, what we're going to do is hold off on inserting all of those M4s because they're just going to fall out. But what we do want to do is insert the M3x5 set screws, our little grub screws here, in the holes. So there's going to be 2 on each piece. We'll need our Loctite, and I believe these were the 1.5s. Yes, they are. And we're pre-positioning these. All right, we are just pre-positioning these. Just a very little amount of Loctite on there. If you get a lot, wipe some of it off. And we're putting these in the M3 inserts that are on the side of our holes for the rods. And like I said, we're just getting those pre-positioned. They should not come out into the hole. We're just getting them started. How's it going, Vince? Okay, that's done. This was the left assembly, which will make this the right assembly, which will be the lower side. This will be the higher side. Yes, yes. Good to go. Okay. And then everything goes together within 4x8 T-nuts when we get there. We did this one. This is the, yep, right-hand side. Top frame cover. Here we're going to have to do some heat set inserts because I just reprinted these. And whomever I talked to that said use Arachne, thank you. That did the trick. Arachne did the trick. Now I just need to get the extra support material out of there. So Arachne did the trick. This is the part that warped the last time. You can see right here is where there was a support piece right onto here that just basically does an angle, but that turned out really well. Same thing on this one. That's just the scarring from the support piece being broken off. All right, so what do we got? We got, this is for the 2. We're using the 3, which is this piece. So, yes, looking like that. We're going to have lots of screws that'll hold this into the parts, which is great. And what we need over, what the hell am I looking at? Okay, looking at it this way, we need to put in 3 heat sets, 2 more heat sets over on this side, and then on this piece, 1, 2, 3 heat sets. So we've got a few of our heat sets we need to install. And of course, that's going to be the M3s. So we'll take our M5 out. the M3 in. Let that start heating up. I'm assuming everybody's just pretty much chilling tonight, having a good night. All right, I'm gonna do this by ear because it is an irregular shape. Get it pressed most of the way in, and then use the side of our bench to take it home and make it flush. Make it flush. I would very much like to get close to having our gantry ready to get mounted. Yep, just chilling. Hey, Da Vinci, welcome in. Must have missed you when you first got here. All right, so those three are in, and that's the only three on this side. This side gets three across the back and then two on the end. Always late to the party. Now, the good news is you're late to the party, but that means that you're the sober one and you get to realize who's the drunk idiots at the party, so you know who to stay away from. All right, that one needs a little more heat in it. Okay, so those three are done. We need to do the two at the end. Oh, seriously? All right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right. I think that's it. Now it tells us to pre-position a bunch of M4x8s and the screws, and we will work on that as we get here. So we're going to have the top frame rear cover. This is a 2020 extrusion. This is says the orientation does not matter. So I'm going to put these holes, I think, at what would be the back, which would be facing me this way now. And what I'm going to have to do is go through and figure out, okay, I need three at the bottom and 2 at the front side. And these are all M4s, right? M4s. We're going to need a few of those now. Okay. So this is back to me. Okay. So 3 down here. And then 2 up here. Okay. Yes. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just kind of line this up and I'll get these bottom ones put in as I slide across them. And that'll help me get things lined up. Especially when you're sticking them through a hole through the printed part. Once again, I'm getting these started, but I'm keeping them so it can still move around because I need to, one, get the front ones lined up and started, and then we'll figure out, we'll get both of them on there, we'll start getting them spaced. But I'm assuming that this is going to have to move around quite a bit. All right. And then this one, when it goes on, goes on from the underneath like that. So it's just going to be the 2. It'll make life easier. Back that off, slide that over. And now I will do the two that go into the side here, and these are going to be M3s, M3 by 6. M3 by 6. And that'll make this one contiguous piece. We can move around together, and we'll get the spacing as it tells us and gives us a reference for spacing. There we go. There's that. Oh, I did drop one of these out. That's nice. And you play nice and go back into your hole. Okay. So that's kind of where we're at. I'm assuming that this is going to be pretty well centered-ish. Way back out some as we work on this. All right. Slide your rod on there. Did that. All right. Well, that happened. Stop jumping around. Okay. Now, I'm going to start with this side and this corner and understand as I slide this in what I need to do to get. So I got one coming in from the bottom. And so one coming in from the front, one comes in from the bottom, and then one comes in from the end. And they're all M5 by 12 in the end, and then the M4s at the front and bottom. So I'm going to need to get an M4 underneath here before I do anything. And we'll get that lined up. Okay. Now I'm going to push that all the way in. I'll do my M5 by 12 from the end, and that basically lets me know where that piece is going to end at. And then everything else will get basically aligned off of that. So M5 by 12 coming from the end and into that extrusion. Oh, for the love of God, please tell me this extrusion had been drilled and tapped. It has not been. Oofda. Yep, no. Well, dang it. We need to tap the ends here. All the tap stuff, I believe, went downstairs after the last stream, so bear with me. I will be right back. Talk politely amongst yourselves. Grab a drink. Okay. I'm going to go on mute, and then I will run downstairs into the garage and grab the tapping stuff, and I'll be right back. Okay, and we are back. We've got our tapping fluid, tap magic. We've got our drill and our M5 tap. So we're going to check real fast and see if we're going to need to drill it. Nope, should be good to go. Yep, should be good just to tap it. And we tap this over, we tapped this over the garbage can the last time. What I'm going to do this time is just move my screws, put down a paper towel, scoot that down to the other end. And I'm going to tap it right here. So again, make sure you put some tapping fluid on your tap. Be careful so you don't break your part or your tap. Now, I was not getting fully in there, but I think we're far enough that we're going to be, I think we're far enough that we've got plenty of room for our screw to go in. This one just does not want to stay in there, does it? Holy cow, where did that one even go? There it is. All right, so one side done. Tapping fluid. All right. like that. We're tapped. This stuff off to the side. Wipe off our hands, get all the metal shavings off everywhere. Okay. Drill down there, that stuff out there. We got this here. We've got a screw that just wants to be a pain in the butt. It really, really does not want to go in and stay in. Okay. So this piece is going there. Let's get this M4 rolling T-nut, try and get that lined up so we can push it in there. Seriously, line up, straight, go in, please. There we go. Okay. So we're back where we were at. We've got our M5 by 12. It's going to go on the end. And that's going to screw in nicely. We're going to make sure that that's nice and flush. We'll tighten this one up. Go ahead and get the one in at the front here. I'm just going to roll that in, push it down so it lines up. Grab an M4 by 8. Screw that one in. So now we've got the M4. This is going to push all the way over. So it lines up flush. That means that all of our holes for our 4 motor screws should now line up and we should see daylight through all 4. So we're good there. Go ahead and both of them fell out. That's sweet. Are these supposed to be a little bit longer M4s? Let me see. The 2 middle ones. Yep, no, they're all M4 by 8s. I don't know why they're being cantankerous with me. Okay. There we go. That's nice and flush at the back there. We're all good all the way around. We can go ahead and Tighten up all the other screws. And then we're going to feed in this side. Once again, this side, the other side, is going to be an M4 at the bottom and an M4 from the front. M4 from the front, M4 from the bottom. And as we start to slide this in, as it lines up, we'll go ahead and put the M4 in from the bottom. Push it all the way down. Move the M4 over for the front. M4 screw in there. I'm going to do my M5 from the side. That should help tighten this up on the end. I forgot to do. And we're ever so slightly off on the holes. So what I'm going to do, loosen that, loosen that. I'm going to loosen these just slightly, and that will let me get a little bit of a gap in there. Just going to let me get it nice and lined up. There we go. And there's our rear. Now, once I put the fronts on, I'm going to hold off on that for half a second to see if it tells me. No, I guess I won't. I need to put the front in, and then we can square the frame. And this is where we might have to do some shimming. That's going to suck, possibly. Okay. Remember that we drilled these out, so we've got holes right here. If I can get there we go. We got holes right here, angle right. I don't know. We've got 2 holes here, and then we've got 2 holes at the end. This end is the back, so that's where these need to go. So I'm just going to set that up like that. Make sure there are 2 holes through are at this side. Grab some M5x12s. And we'll get these started in. How's it going, Techno Slide? Hope you're doing well today. There's one side. And we're going to do the other. And I'm doing this sitting down here so the weight is keeping everything nice and flush on the bottom side of this piece by doing this on the table or on my quartz countertop piece. Okay, so let me clean some of this stuff up and out of the way. Did I just send a heat set somewhere? Guess not. Heat sets, M4x8. M4 rolling nuts. Sliver of metal. Move the idlers over. We'll move our gantry out of the way. Make sure there's nothing in the way. Nothing's making any noise, so that's good. Now, we need to take some measurements. Okay? So I think, let me just verify that we got everything in place. Oh. So on one of these sides, top or the bottom? Oh, I have the top against the bottom deck. Okay. So this side, one, we need to put M3s over here. And these are M3 by what's? Getting all the M4 set up. Tell us back here to put M4, M4. Actually, it's an M4. It's an M4 by 8 that goes into these little corner wings here. So we need to get the M4 by 8s there as well. Let's grab 2 of those. 2 of these. And we're going to cross our fingers and hope and pray beyond all possibility that we have the best, straightest extrusions ever known to man. And everything's going to line up and we won't have to mess around trying to shim things out. But somehow, against all odds, we're good. Okay, so that's there. We got those pieces done as well. We got to remember to add some that in 5x10s. Why would you add? I mean, I know why you'll add in 5x10s. And it doesn't go on this side because you can slide them in on this side. It goes on that side that's enclosed off, right? Yeah, put in the M5x10s on the side that's going to get closed off. Okay. So let's see. We'll M3 to loosen this. M4 to loosen this. I'm not going to undo it all the way. I'm hoping I don't have to undo it all the way. Basically just need enough that I can put the M5 button head screw down in there and slide it forward. Apparently it's going to come all the way out. There we go. M5x10 button heads. I need 2 M5 washers. 2. What we're doing is we're having to pre-position these because we will not be able to get to the screws any other way. So we just need to get the washer and the screw head on there, feed it in there. We'll do that for both. Push this back in. Then basically we're going to line these up on the screw holes. Not that they will stay there. One can hope. And then that needs to be tightened back down now that these are all the way at the end. Okay. So we're back to where we were at. I think it has you flipping this over and doing the measurements from the top. It honestly does not matter if you're doing it from the top or bottom. Maybe. It might be. Because it'll be a little bit harder to do the measurement because you've got plus-ups here. But anyhow, this process is highly dependent on the quality of your preparation and calibration before printing parts, where one of the key steps would be skew and shrinkage calibration, which we did. With perfect parts, you should need to do basically no squaring, but nothing is perfect, right? In the squaring procedure, you'll be comparing the top frame measurement, W1, W2, and then the crosses, and adjusting the frame corner joints to get to the point where W1 and W2 about 407 millimeters and DADB about 575 millimeters. To achieve, we'll be inserting thin shims, paper, tin can, thin plastic, etc., in right places between the plastic parts and the aluminum. So this is where it starts getting more fun. As if we weren't having enough fun. Okay. So we can try and take our measurement like this, right? And they said it should be about 575. With the help of a 1, 2, 3 block, $576. Double check this again. $576, $577. Across the end. $410. That's 407 there. 410 and come on, darn it. Oi. And if you need to use some aids, so that is 407, which is what we're looking for. This end, however, is at 410. So there's about a 3 millimeter where this needs to kind of squish in some. So what do we need to do if D to B, D to B, $576 for D to B. 577 for D to A. So M positions. So if A was positive, and I need to bring A in slightly, I need to make that adjustment up in this very back or this very end corner. And do that by using a piece of paper. Oopsie. So screw, 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 and there's a screw on that side, right? Is it to the back or to the side? There's one on the side. So oh, I don't have that screw in, and I don't have that screw in either. Did it tell me to put those screws in? It looks like they're there. Let's add those screws and see if that changes anything. I don't think it would, but it might. This would be the M4x8s. Couple M4 nuts. Yeah, I don't know if this will change anything, but couldn't hurt. Couldn't hurt. Come on, dang you. All right. Now for giggles, we'll lay it back down. We'll do our measurement again. See if maybe that somehow tightens something up that needed to be tightened up. Well, that 574. 574 and 574. About 406. We're square. Who would have thought that putting in 2 additional screws would square us? We're square. We are square. Like, that is crazy. You can give me a cheer, a shout out, or anything for that. That is awesome. Yes, I'm trying to see if anybody's still out there and is awake, or if they're just lurking and sleeping. I mean, I would understand if you were sleeping. I am kind of just droning a bit. But we appear to be square. Here's how to do the math and how to change things around, but we are there. Now we need to insert our 2 rods. Yes, square is good. We're going to insert our 2 rods. Okay, so we're going to grab our gantry. We want to make sure that we're putting it in the right orientation, which is like this. It is telling us to loosen the rods on our X gantry, so I'll have to do that. And we're going to insert our 2 Y rods. Into the slots on either side. And I am going to go ahead and push this all the way in. Like so. We need to loosen these up. Basically, even though we're at the 280 right now, we want to have the ability for this to move, for the rods to slide around a little bit as we're now making it adjust to the frame. Okay, so those are solved. Once again, let me get this in the right orientation so our little cutouts where we can see the bearings are towards the front. And we're going to try and line this up and slide this on. So I'm going to pull this off so I can get access to the rods a little bit easier, because I don't know if this sits down lower than the other piece. We're going to get these lined up right with the edge. Come on. And we're on. And we have not as much on this side, but a big gob over on this side. So we'll go ahead and grab both extra grease blobs here. Okay. So that's on the frame. For the ultimate frame, which is what we're doing, insert 2 M5 by 12 button head screws and M5 washers on each side of the V-slot as shown in the picture. Yay. Okay. Liz. Yeah. Okay. So it just says M5 by 12 in the note. And then down here it says M5 by 20. I'm going to do M5 by 20 because I know I've got to go through these adapters so that the front is flush with the back. So, ooh. I'm down to 3 M5 by 20s. And it wants me to do M5 by 12 or M5 by 20s on each side. Oh. Man, you guys were about to let me do that, weren't you? I have my frame upside down and they have their frame right side up in the picture. So I was about to put this X carriage on backwards. So we got to take this off and put this over and redo it. There we go. They have it at the top, so I would be sliding these in over here on this side. And like I said, it says M5 by 12, it says M5 by 20. I don't know, but I've got 3 M5 by 20s and no more M5 by 12 button heads. So, what will we do? And that's 12. I do have 12s, I do have 14s. Are there none that came off the donor? Do I have any button heads over here? All right, we're going to use M4 by 20 button heads. If anything, they're just longer than needed. I say that because it should be going through a 5mm piece and into the top. So that's going to be at least what, 5, 6, or 7. You know, that's going to be quite a bit. It's already taken up by that. So that's how much is actually going to go into the extrusion. All right, so we got those there. Now we're going to put our other pieces in, and I just need to kind of look at these, because once again, I am upside down. So where it's showing these going in like that, I need to be flipping this over and going in on this side. Wipe that rod down again. So low on the right, high on the left. So we should be high on the left because we're going in the opposite direction. Because my thing is upside down. Yeah. I did not check to see if these were 8 mil. Let's double check those. 8. Yes. Little tight. We'll go ahead and ream these out. It's not going to make a difference because I'm making it 8 millimeters, so it's going to be right at 8 millimeters. And then 2, it'll be able to move or slide onto the rod, but remember we've got a set screw that we're going to use that will tighten down against the rod. So it'll be fine there. Except now I got to go do this side was going to be up. And it needs to be down. So this side would come over here. Yeah, this is the bottom. This is the bottom side. So we need to have our 12 millimeters coming into this direction here. And I should probably make sure that these are 12 millimeters are clear while I'm at it. Getting rid of a little bit of swarf from there. That goes there. This goes here. We're going to have a couple that we can add in to either side. And get those spaced in the right spot. All right, so there's these ends, and they're going to get put on with M5x12 socket head cap screws. So there's 4 of those. I'm going to push this back so we make sure that we're nice and flat when we do this. Had some really, really good progress today. Really good progress. Okay, so we've got that. We're going to have some, I'm assuming these are M4x8s that mount all that stuff to the extrusion sides. Yep, M4x8s, T-nuts. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha. Make sure the M5 screws on the Y gantry blocks are loose. Verify the 8mm access rods are sliding in the Y gantry reasonably well. Check the Y-axis rods and make sure they are secured properly without noticeable play. I mean, we haven't tightened these down, but we can. Again, we're simply locking these in place with the set screws. So we did these two at this end. I'm going to flip this over. Drop the plastic pieces off, because why not? With our M2x5, we're going to do the two screws on either side of the rear part of the rod, and that's going to clamp that down on the rod and keep the rear of the X or the Y rod from moving. Okay. What else do we need to do? We need to add our M4s. M4x8s and some more of our M4 rolling T-nuts. We'll have four of these. Four of these. There's one up here, and then there's one on the other side, underside. Goodness. Yeah. Yeah. So this one keeps trying to like rock in the channel. We'll make it tight because we're cross-threading it, so it'll stay there. Kind of like this needs to stay there. Probably put like a piece of tape there. Get them quasi-lined up, put a piece of tape on them, and that way they're in the right spot. I will say this has been a pretty fun build so far. I don't know about you guys and how much fun it is to watch, but it's been a pretty fun build. Okay, so that's there. I'll put these back over here. I do want to try and line these up somewhat. And then literally put a piece of tape on the side to try and hold that plastic piece in place. I don't know if it'll help, but we'll see. If it gets it 90% close, then we're good. And I'll just have to fight getting the rear spacing done upright when we go to drop this onto the lower frame. Okay. Now where are we at? What are we doing? What are we doing? Check the Y rods, make sure they are secured properly without noticeable play. They are. Move the gantry to the rear end, Y max. Adjust the spacing between Y gantry blocks if it doesn't on its own. So the gantry is moving back and forth. So basically we're letting the X rods, because we loosen these up, we're going to let them find the right length between everything as we move this front to back. And I'm going to actually leave it like this where I know it stays flat. We're just going to move this front to back. Everything's moving nice and easy. And we're hitting the front at the same time, we're hitting the back at the same time, which means we're not cattywampus. So okay, so now we're going to tighten this down. Make sure it keeps going. I'm going to pull this off the front so I can tighten the opposite sides down. And I'm not cranking on this, okay? I'm trying to tighten the clamp, but I'm not cranking on it. Because now that that's done, we want to move this side to side and make sure it's not tight or binding. If we clamp these down, we can cause that to kind of bend down somewhat at the ends and will cause binding of the carriage at the ends. I mean, it's not sliding extremely smoothly, not nearly as much like this is. This is a little bit easier, but this is still pretty good. Not a lot of force needed to move it. All right, and that's kind of what the note's saying is if you squeeze these rods too much, it will affect the spacing of these rods, which will cause more drag on that X carriage. So let me just slightly adjust these. Maybe. There we go. Not a lot, just a little. Like eighth turn. Yep, a little bit better. Hey, Steve Builds, how's it going? We've got a gantry. We're square. Everything is hitting front and back at the same time. So we're good so far. Next up will be installing the electronics panel. We've already assembled the electronics panel. I did that off stream just because it deals with gluing stuff and things of that nature. So I made sure the panels were good to go. So we're ready to move on to frame assembly. We are not doing the printed frame. We are doing the ultimate frame. How's it going tonight, Steve? So we're going to be using M3x8s to mount this, and it goes in the front side of our gantry. So I'm going to take this, set it off to the side for now, and we're going to bring our printer base back up here, and actually I'll turn it this way, which is front to back for you guys. Let me pull you guys back the rest of the way out. So we're going to be sliding that plate down right here in the front of the 2040 extrusions. So we're going to need to load up some T-nuts here and down along this edge. And these are M3x8s. Okay. So our M3x8s and our M3 T-nuts. 4, 4, 5, so we'll need 9. Yay! Now, one of the things that I did not do, because that would have taken some forethought, was, well, not forethought, but just following the instructions, would have been to cut the small pieces out of the base. And you'll see we have little knockouts here and here. I'm not 100% sure that I need them because it says go ahead and knock them out if you need to. If I remember right. Let me go back up here and we'll double check because it'll be easier to pop them out. For the Z stepper wire and auxiliary fan wires, based on your setup, clean the holes following the edge of the half hex. Okay, so yeah, we're going to need to pop those out. So let me put this back down so that we can have a stable base to work on. And we'll try and cut these out. Hopefully it doesn't take much to cut through this. And that would be it's going to take something to cut through it. It looks like it should just be like one layer, so hopefully we can make it through. So how's it going, Steve? What projects are you working on these days? Saw you're still working on the Micron, I think. You seem to be like me. You normally have a couple of builds going on. Okay, that worked out pretty decently. There we go. Yeah, just like one layer. Popped out pretty easily. Now we'll do the other side. Side I'm doing right now would be doing the Z motor wire and one of the aux fans. And if you wind up doing triple Z's at some point, you'll have to, bring the Z's down the front side. So you'll need both of these for Z's as well. And Steve, how long before you get tube compacts on Phoenix? Hey, Diesel, how's it going? Forgot to cut these out off stream, so trying to work them out now. There we go. All righty. Now we're going to go ahead and bring this up, and I'll position and screw down the bottom. And then because I slid one down here on the side, and I know these sides are going to slide, I'll have to put it on one side and, yeah, mess around to get them all lined up. Okay. You go there. You go there. Go there. Well, okay, and like we said, these are M3 by 8s. Did I say 8s or 6s? M3 by 8s. So grab the 8s, not the 6s. You went gaming? Really, dude? Supposed to take me along for those things. All right, now I'm going to need to grab the 2.5-inch ball end driver for these. And I'm going to not tighten these down 100% just yet. But I do need it to be able to move a little bit as we work to get everything done. You play Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday? Now, I'm going to say it didn't seem like you were doing that 2 years ago when I started streaming and set these days. I see. I see. I guess we'll have to see if we have an epic fail on that print that you have me printing for you. I know, I did get you out, didn't I? So I find it interesting that they're showing the wire come out towards the lead screw, yet the hole is right here. It would make sense if this was turned around and the wire just went straight down and through the hole. That's weird. All right, now, like I said, I'm going to have to put this over on its side. Give it a little shake. Try and get that M3 thingamabobber because it decided to yeet around on me. We'll need a couple more of these. Okay, there we go. You had one fail, 21 parts so far. The spool didn't let loose when it ran out. Oh, that sucks. Um, yeah, it was doing pretty good. It's definitely not going to take a full spool to do that part that you wanted me to print, so we shouldn't have that issue. Um, yeah, and it was printing just fine when I checked on it earlier. So, on. Say I'm pretty sure that's showing M3 by 8, but that does not feel like it is catching at all. Here we go. Finally, it caught. Okay. One more side and we'll be done. This way and get those little rubber feet right off the edge. So, speaking of assembling things, this is 6 pieces. This is the inside of a power fist. This is one half of the top side. The other half finished printing, and I just need to assemble that half and then assemble them together. So this thing is coming out well, very nicely. It's going to be printed all in black, and then we'll sand it if we need to sand it. I think I should just be good to hit it with filler primer and sand it down, see if I need to do anything major to it, because it's Bamboo Lab basic PLA black, and it's just printing like butter on the X1 carbon. Oh, it's like, what am I doing? And then we're going to do, I've got a power claw to do as well. And then after the power claw, we'll have, I need to finish the Galactic Armory chain sword. And then I'm going to do the chain sword, the motorized chain sword by Alex Geek Workshop, which is where I'm doing the power fist and the power claw from. And then we'll also have a Doom Shield to print and build, and that's pretty darn involved. That one's going to be pretty darn involved. Oh, come on, you. And then what? Yeah, that's going to be a majority of like the non-printing projects going on for right now. And those are things that will either be here at the studio or at the studio. We're still looking. There's a couple of potential locations that we're looking at right now. Anything from 1,500 to 2,000 to 3,000 square foot. So, wish me luck in being able to find one and secure it without having to get rid of my entire 401k. Thanks, TechnoSlide. Yeah, I think we're making some pretty good progress here. Oops. Come on. There we go. There's a gap right here. It kind of pulled back some when the glue was setting. So that's why I was kind of pushing and pulling, get that final alignment in place. Come on now. Come on. Always one, isn't there? New place next to Duncan and Jimmy John's is. All right, where the Duncan and Jimmy John's over on the other side of town? On the Walmart side of town? I might have to check that out. If you got information on it, send it over to me, bud. All right. Back panel secure. Frame assembly, top frame install. Ooh, this is where it gets fun. That's the printed frame, 2040 and ultimate frame. We're going to slide this down on there. We need the two printed caps, which we have on the front, ready to go. Reinstall the require N3x6 socket head screws with T-nuts. Nope, we're not going to do that. We'll have to fiddle with it afterwards. And it talks about potentially installing the bed carriage before this step for a simpler process. And you can do so without issue. In that case, follow the bed assembly on page 94 to 102, then come back. So here's what we're going to possibly, oh God. All right, let's see what it says for the bed. Yeah. We have a slight issue with the bed. It's going to be fun. Okay. So let's get this set up. We're going to have a couple of screws in the back. I think these were M5 by 12 button heads in the back with, I need to get some M5 by 12s back here before I lock myself out from being able to do so. M4, 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 M10. What did I do with the M5 by 12s? I thought I said I had like 3 left. And then I went and grabbed different ones. I grabbed M5 by 20s for the front. Huh. All right. So I need 2 M5 by 12s. Great having that stash over there. So M5 by 12. Right there. Oh, come on. I thought I would be able to get you in there. Don't be like that. Don't you be like that. You. So I could get the button head itself, but not with the washer. May have to forego the washer because I didn't follow instructions, and my frame is square and I don't want to take the frame apart. Oh, hey Shenanigans, how's it going? Hope you're doing well, friend. Okay, so we need to take this whole thing, flip it over without jumping these screws, and we've got our frame spacers here. We got some tape holding those frame spacers in. I need to make sure that I don't yeet these two out the back corner. And where are we going? That's going on that side. That goes there. Okay, we're going to have to line up the M5 screws in the back. Got the our 12 millimeter rods in the front that need to line up. This case is slowly working things around and getting everything that should line up. Okay. You sometimes I hate blind joints of the ball end driver. Let me find the head of a screw that feels like it's in line. I'm doing good shenanigans. Like I said, I'm just trying to get things lined up right now and find the frickin' head of a bolt, you know, a blind hole or a blind joint, which is being persnickety. Oh, are you at? Right. Yeah, quick timing. Yeah, every squirrel and all that. Yeah. Even a blind squirrel finds a nut at some point. Yeah. Jesus. Win 5 button heads are a 3 millimeter driver, right? Lose my ever loving mind. Hey, I found the head of a screw finally. On the head of 2 screws. Why in the hell do not we 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 tapped all of these, didn't we? Why does it feel like that's not a tapped hole? It's tapped. It's tapped. What the? Oh my God. All right. I'm going to stop because I'm feeling a bit frustrated. And I don't want to be frustrated trying to get this stuff lined up. That will lead to bad things happening because I will do bad things. And I do not want to do bad things. I want things to actually line up and go on correctly. So I'm going to stop. I'm going to take a breath. I will look at this possibly later tonight. But yeah, exactly. It leads to a hammer, and then all things go crazy. Our gantry is currently, it was square, right? Our gantry was square. Everything's moving nicely. So I need to make sure and I don't mess that up by trying to move this thing around. And, when I'm sitting here trying to find the heads of these screws and I can't seem to, and then when I finally get one, it feels like even though it's lined up in the hole, it's not, or something. That's a bit disconcerting. We should have sound back. Yeah. Back to my battery's out, and I am now chasing aggravating things. I'm going to stop, like I said, before I do something and bend the frame that is currently straight. No need to bend a currently straight frame. So I'm going to stop. We're going to come back to this screen. I'm going to put some tools away real fast, or some fasteners and stuff like that. And like I said, I'm just going to take a deep breath, relax. I think I have an idea of something that could help, but I'm going to sit and ponder that while I think through it. With that being said, I'm going to say thank you to everybody for being here this evening. Let's see who we can raid into this evening, who's up and live. It is a Tuesday at about 10 o'clock, so we should have a couple of people. Options, layer by layers, up. Who are they talking with tonight? Killer Prince. There you go. So we got Moji and layer by layer chatting with Killer Prince. Polymaker's still going. Science. You guys want to go to Polymaker, or do you want to go over to layer by layer emoji with Killer Prince on the Unspooled podcast? Inquiring minds want to know. What does everybody want to do? Nothing? No suggestions? Polymaker? Okay. We'll go over to Polymaker. Where's Joel? Where's Joel? There's Joel. All right. We're going to get the raid started over to Polymaker. Thank you, everybody, for being here this evening and hanging out with me. Evil Diesel, like I said, send me information on that place if you have it. If not, I will look for it. And I will see everybody on Tuesday, or excuse me, today is Tuesday. Wow. I will see everybody on Thursday night for the next installment of this build. And until then, everybody have a great night. Stay safe, stay out of trouble, and I will see you then. Bye now. And for those of you following along on YouTube, thank you for sticking around. I hope you like what you see, and if so, please be sure to smash that like button. And if you do like what you see, while you're down there smashing that like button, go ahead and click subscribe and click that bell to be notified of future videos. Speaking of future videos, YouTube's going to be suggesting one right here. Thank you. Have a great